I repent to the I'm the one that built the cat and was healed by the staff. How could the angels relate? I was stole from my case. I'm the one that's a slave. God free me from the jail. It get cold in the cell, even colder in hell. When we be avenged, so much blood on their hands. I'm the one that built the temple, out of gold, not silver. While we marrying their kids, putting rings on the pigs. You the one that was chose, turned from soil into gold. Was a fish to a boat, was the dead to a crow. I'm the one that crossed the sea, that by fire at night.
What's up, family? Welcome back to the Salvation Show. I'm Brother Terrence. Today's lesson is going to be called The Lord, God of War. But before we get started in the video, I gotta put a disclaimer out. I don't own the rights to that video. The music today, the song today is called From Israel to Yah. It's by an artist named Tay Yawada. I'm gonna make sure I put his description into the link so y'all can better look it up. Again, I'm just gonna always play some positive music, some truth music before we get into these videos, just to promote something a little different, so you ain't gotta listen to that demonic stuff that they play on the radio all day long. I also want to give all praises to our Heavenly Father and His only Son, Jesus' name, because without Him, I wouldn't be here making any of these videos. I also want to say, make sure you like, you share, you comment, and I need y'all in them comments, it just helped the video get pushed out to other people, and the algorithm recommend it when people watching similar videos. I think I got all my disclaimers out. Alright, so the Lord, God of War. Okay, I know y'all probably like, Brother Terrence, what they got to do with salvation? It got a lot to do with salvation, because people don't fear God. And they don't fear God because they don't know what God done did in this book and what He gonna do when He come back to this earth. And a lot of people know that. They don't know that. They think Jesus is peace and love, and they don't know this war side that He done displayed in this book from the beginning to the end. And even when He come back, the second coming is gonna be a dreadful day. The prophets even said it. Like, Job said, have me in the earth. It was going to be so bad. Like Job said, I don't want to see, when the Lord come back. And a lot of people don't fear God because their perception of what God is totally different from what this Bible is. In Proverbs 9 and verse 10 say, wisdom start with the fear of the Lord. That's what it say. You know what I'm saying? So once you get smart, you start to fear God. And once you fear God, what you going to do? You're going to do what He say. But a lot of people don't fear God because they don't know what God did from the beginning of the book and the end of the book, and what He going to do in the second coming when He come back. But so we're going to get into this thing. We're going to start in Exodus 14. And we're going to pick it up in Exodus 14. We're picking it up when the Lord brought the children of Israel out of the wilderness. And, we ain't going to even touch on Egypt today, you know what I'm saying, because I want to show y'all other things. And I know everybody know the story of Egypt, so when we going through these wars and we showing stuff, we're going to leave Egypt out of it. I like to take y'all other places that y'all might not be in all the time. But when we know the Lord destroyed Egypt, he utterly destroyed it with 10 plagues, and that Egypt ain't never been the same since he destroyed it. And He said that, And let's pick it up at Exodus 14, and we're gonna read verses 30 through 31, and then we're gonna continue after that and just drop down to Exodus 15. So let's pick it up. We picking it up, Exodus 14, when the Lord literally brought the children out of Israel, and He done literally destroyed them, and they on the other side, Mount Sinai. 14 to 30. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. And Israel saw the great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians. And the people feared the Lord and believed the Lord and His servant Moses. You see that they feared the Lord because they seen what the Lord did to the Egyptians. That's when the wisdom start. You got to fear God, y'all. That's where it all starts. You got to believe what he's saying in his book. And you got to believe what he is say he's going to do to you. And if you don't believe it, you don't fear him. If you don't fear him, you're not going to do what he say. You'll hear a lot of people say they believe in God, and a lot of people say they love God, but it's no fear in God, no fear. So that fear don't create no actions, and they think they can do whatever they want and get away with it. Just like your parents. When you feared your parents at home, you made sure you didn't get in trouble, and you did everything they say. And you see the households where the parenting might be a little lax and it may be a little loose, and the kids is wild and they do whatever because they don't fear their parents. But let's keep going. Let's drop down to Exodus 15, and we're gonna read 1 through 3 because we're gonna see what the children of Israel said about the Lord. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord, and spake, saying, I will sing unto the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider have he thrown into the sea. And so he letting you know, like, the whole Egyptian army that followed after them, once they got deep enough in the sea, he started making the wheels of their chariots come off and all type of stuff. And then the sea just collapsed on them and washed them away. 2, the Lord is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will prepare him a habitation, my father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. You see that? Say right there. The Lord is a man of war. The title. The Lord is his name. And we're going to see this one we're seeing the Lord first destroying, not first destroying nations, because he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, but Sodom and Gomorrah, it was just boom, over. Rain and hail straight through them. But Egypt, he literally took through plagues and was destroying it about a little bit, so he can prove to the people who he truly was. But you see, the Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. Let's look at his second coming, because a lot of people want the Lord to come back and they think they're going to get raptured up into the clouds and all type of stuff, and they don't got a clue of what that day going to look like. So let's go to Isaiah 66. And we're going to read. We're going to look at the second coming of the Lord. And a lot of people don't know this. They don't know when the Lord come back. He going to do a whole lot of killing. And we're going to pick it up in Isaiah 66. And we're going to read verses 12 through 17. And when we picking it up in Isaiah 66, 12 through 17, first he talking about, how he going to save Jerusalem, how he going to save Israel. And then he going to make it very clear to what he going to do to all the people, when he come back. Not all the people, but all the nations, that rise up against him when he come back. Isaiah 66, verse 12. For thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will extend peace to her like a river, and the glory of the Gentiles like a flowing stream. They shall suck, ye shall be born upon her sides, and be dandled upon her knees. As one whom his mother comfort, so will I comfort you, and you shall be comforted in Jerusalem. And when you see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb. And the hand of the Lord shall be known toward his servants, and his indignation towards his enemies. So he's telling you, he making a difference. Just like when the children of Israel was in Egypt, and he protected all of them in Goshen, and he destroyed Egypt at the same time. He's saying, look, when I come back again this second time, my servants gonna be protected. The ones that make it in the place of safety in the wilderness, they gonna be in the right time at the right place, and I'm gonna make sure don't nothing happen to them. But at the same time, my enemies gonna see my wrath, and they gonna feel it. But let's keep going. 15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by sword would the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. So you see what the Lord is saying? He's saying, look, because when I come back, I'm coming back with chariots in the whirlwind, and he's saying, look, I'm coming with fire and I'm coming with a sword, because the Lord gonna burn this place up. And he's saying, look, and he's gonna kill a whole lot of people. It say, and the slain of the Lord shall be many, because there's gonna be a whole lot of nations over there. And once they see the Lord crack them skies, they're going to all join the same side, and they're going to think they can go to war with the Lord. And we're going to read that next. But guess what? The Lord going to kill all these armies. When he say the slain of the Lord shall be many, that's what he meant. But let's keep reading. 17. Let's see who else he going to kill, because these people right here, he going to kill in this next verse is the people who trying to throw away the dietary law. But let's read. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden, behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and their abomination, and their mouths shall be consumed together, said the Lord. He's saying, look, all y'all that want to run behind the doctrine of Satan, and think that y'all can do what y'all want to do and eat whatever y'all want to eat. He said, guess what? Y'all shall be consumed together, said the Lord. This is the Lord talking. So he's saying, look, when I come back, it's not going to be just peace, love, and rapturing all these people off and everything else. You can't read rapture not one time in the Bible. But the Lord said, when I come back, I'm going to do a whole lot of killing. Let's get a second witness to this. Let's go in Revelations. I just want to show y'all the old book and the new book. I all say the same thing. This thing get very... it's the same. Everything go together. It's like putting puzzle pieces together. A lot of people will say, oh, that's the God of the Old Testament, that's what he said he was going to do then, and then he changed in the New Testament. And then you got a lot of people who just started Matthew, who don't even touch the Old Testament because they don't understand it, and they don't see that it go hand to hand. You got to be able to understand the Old before you can understand the New. But let's pick it up at Revelations 19. We're going to read verses 11 and 21. And when we picking it up at 19, we picking it up the same scenario, the second coming of the Lord. And this is going to go into a little bit more details, about what that's going to look like and everything else. But it's the same thing. It's just add more context, and you're going to see clearly that the Lord going to do a whole lot of killing when he come back. And it's going to, like Job said, like hide me in earth when that day comes, because Job seen it, and it was scary, and it's probably going to be a scary sight for anybody who actually there to see all this. But let's pick it up. 19, verse 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he does judge and make war. You see that right there? In righteousness, he do judge and make war. They won't tell you that Jesus is coming back to make war. And we know who this is sitting on this white horse. This is the Messiah. But they will leave out the part that when he come back, he got to make war first. He got to purge the land and all these nations before he set up his kingdom. But let's keep going. 12. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written, but no man knew, but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of God. And again, it's describing Jesus. It said, eyes, flames of fire. You don't ever see that on all them idolic pictures that you see posted up. And many crowns on his head. And he said his clothes was dipped in blood. But why was his clothes dipped in blood? Let's keep reading. 14. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon his white horses, clothed in fine linen, and white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treaded the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. So it's telling you, he coming with his armies. The same thing he told Pilate, at any time he could call on 12 legions of angels. Like when he coming back with them legions of angels. And them gonna be everything that's behind it. And he said, out of his mouth go a sharp sword, that with it should smite the nations. I mean, look, he gonna kill the nations, and it shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treaded the winepress. And we're gonna see. Y'all make sure y'all remember that, because when we leave from reading these verses, I'm gonna show y'all what that mean. That mean he gonna do a whole lot of killing. That mean just like when you stomp on grapes and you make wine, like back in the day. Now we probably got all type of technology that make how we make wine now, but back in the day they used to get in a big circle thing where the grapes would be, and they would step on them, and they would step on them, and they would make the grapes, like juice, and that was called treading the wine press, because all that grape juice would splash up on you, and now, whatever color, if you got on white clothes, now all your clothes like it's dyed or stained, and it looked like blood. But let's keep going. 16. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God. And so the angel calling all the birds, like he calling all the vultures, all the eagles, all the birds that you see scavenging on the side of the road, when something dead. The angels gonna call them like, look, all the birds of the world, we're gonna need y'all over here, because the Lord finna kill so many people. Somebody gonna have to clean up this mess, and that's what the birds gonna be doing. Literally, the birds gonna be picking the flesh of all these generals and commanders and all these fleets and armies and navies and all that. Like, the birds is gonna be the ones scavenging and cleaning all that mess up. But let's keep going. 18. What are you gonna tell the birds? That ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And so that's literally what the birds gonna do. Be literally eating all these dead bodies that the Lord leave over there. But let's keep going. 19. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And so this is what they trying to lure y'all into now, the whole world into now, to think that is real aliens out there and everything else. And I don't know what deception they gonna bring or how they gonna bring it, but when the Lord cracked the sky, all them armies gonna be like, the aliens invading, because they gonna be at one time going against war with each other over there and everything else. But when they see the sky crack, they're gonna be like, oh, we got a common enemy. And how they gonna be able to trick the people? We got to go fight the aliens. And that's why you read in 19 and then say, I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war. That's how, it's going to be like an alien invasion. And that's how they constantly programming the world and the media to think that, or to make them believe that it's life outside of Earth. And they even got a new movie coming out now called Disclosure. They talking about how they gonna release all these files and everything else. Y'all, we got to be smart up here, and we got to understand what's going on, y'all. They running place, but if you ain't spiritually in tune to what's going on and know this word of God, then you're not gonna see it. But let's keep going. 20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that have received the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. And that's crazy, boy. The beast and the false prophet gonna be in the lake of fire before Satan do, because at this time Satan gonna be locked up for 1,000 years. He ain't even got his judgment, but the people he convinced to be the beast and the the false prophet, gonna be in the lake. The first two people, right here. This is what we can read. There's gonna be a whole lot of people judging them on that a whole lot of people joining them in that white throne judgment. But for that 1,000 years, everybody gonna be able to go to Jerusalem and see the beast and the false prophet burning alive in the lake of fire. Scary, 21. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. Again, and it said, whatever's left, gonna be killed by Jesus when he come back. He said a sword gonna proceed out of his mouth and kill all these armies. That's deep, boy. It's scary. But again, the world don't know this. And the world don't know this is how Jesus coming back. He coming back with a vengeance, because he see everything that's going on in this world. You got to think, he drowned the whole world and only saved 8 people. He rained fire on Sodom and Gomorrah and only saved what? He saved 4 people, but only 3 made it out of there alive. Like the door is about killing, like he about handling his business if you not listening or doing what he say. But let's go to Isaiah 63, and we're going to read verses 1 through 6, so y'all can understand what treading the wine press is. Because, I explained it to y'all, but I want to read it to y'all, So y'all can't say I'm putting an interpretation on the book. No, I'm going to read you the book. Then you do what you want with it. Either you believe it or you don't. But whatever I read to you, I always tell people, fact check it. Study to show yourself improved. Don't get indoctrinated by me or nobody else. Prove everything that any man ever say to you. 63, 1 through 6. Who was that coming from Edom, with dyed garments from Bozrah? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. So this is like, he said, look, who was that coming from Edom with dyed garments for Bozrah? He's saying, look, this is why Edom, think they can hide and think they can claim then a people who they ain't. The world might not know who Yahweh is, Edom, but the servants of God know who Yahweh is, and you best believe Jesus and his father know who Yah is. So Yah ain't no better hide father. He got a judgment against y'all, Edom, and you can go read the whole book of Obadiah and you can see that judgment. You can't hide Edom, You can say you can say you are people that you're not, but the Lord know, and the servants of him no. But let's keep going, because he's gonna explain, how his garments got dyed too. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treaded in the wine fat? He said, look, he asked a rhetorical question. This is the Lord speaking. And he's talking to Edom, but he asking rhetorical questions about himself. And then he gonna answer in 3. I have tried the wine press alone, and other people there was none with me. For I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. This is the Lord talking right here. The Lord said, look, I'm going to tread these people. Just like when you see them over there jumping in the grapes, and the old school way they made wine by stomping on them and everything else. And he said, my garments going to be stained in their blood. And this is why you see in 19, where he said, he done treated the wine press and his garments are stained, and his white outfit ain't going to be white because he going to be doing a whole lot of killing, and all that blood going to stain his garments. Boy, that's scary. But let's keep going. Let's read forward. Let's see what he say. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. See, this is what we got to understand, y'all. Servants of God, we got to let the Lord fight our battles. The Lord is a man of war, like the title say, like the children of Israel said. Look, he fight our battles for us, y'all. We ain't got no armies. We ain't got no navies. We ain't got nothing to fight against the world. The battle is spiritual, y'all. So we got to let the Lord take care of any of the revenge we think we might have. That's the Lord's business. That ain't our business. The servants of God, we serve God. We let him take care of that. But this day right here, he said this is the day of his vengeance. This is when he going to get the big payback on Edom for everything they did to the natural seed, his people. Well, let's keep going. 5. And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore my own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. Because he said, look, ain't nobody gonna save Israel. Ain't nobody gonna help them. And so I'm gonna do it myself. But let's read 6. And I will tread down the people in my anger, and make them drunk in my fury, and I will bring down their strength to the earth. And so look, he's saying, look, he gonna tread the winepress with y'all. He's saying he gonna kill y'all. You know, like he gonna destroy y'all. He gonna render the payback on everything y'all did to Israel. So let's go look at, you know, some different ways, you know, the Lord destroyed nations, destroyed armies, because he did this from the beginning of the book. He the one clearing out the land, you know, from the children of Israel. And in certain ways, sometimes that he killed people. Sometimes the giant hailstones coming out. Sometimes he go before the army. Sometimes he had them pull their swords on each other and he killed them. But let's look at it. Let's look at some of this. Let's go to Joshua 10. And we're going to see, you know, when the children of Israel was going to war, and how they didn't have to really do much because the Lord took care of it. Joshua 10, and we're going to read verses 1 through 11. And because we're going to see in the final battle, not the second coming, but the final battle with Gog and Magog, after we've been resting for 1,000 years, everybody to making the millennial kingdom, he going to combine all these things up for the final battle. He going to use them all in the final battle. But again, Joshua 10 verses 1 through 11. Now it came to pass, when Ani-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, had heard how Joshua had taken Ai and had utterly destroyed it, as he had done to Jericho and her king, so he had done to Ai and her king, and how the inhabitants of Gibeon had made peace with Israel and were among them. So when we picking it up, my bad, y'all should have gave y'all a brief synopsis of where we at. So we picking it up at Joshua 10, you know, the children of Israel, again, they going through the land of Canaan, you know. They literally had to fight nation after nation to get the land that was promised to them. And King Adoni-Zedek, at this time, he was the king of where Jerusalem is right now. And once he heard that the Gibeonites had made peace with Israel because they tricked him, you know, and they actually was Israel's servants at this time, because Israel was supposed to kill them, but they tricked them, and they swore to a pact that they couldn't overturn. But Adoni-Zedek, he at this time seen everything that Israel was doing, you know, and how the Gibeonites was had made peace with them, and so he like, look, now I'm gonna go attack these Gibeonites. Since y'all want to make peace with with Israel, and they coming in here taking over our land, now I'm gonna destroy y'all. So let's pick it up at 2, y'all. 10-2. That they feared greatly, because Gibeon was a great city, and it's one of the royal cities, and because it was greater than Ai, and all the men therefore were mighty. Wherefore Adoni, king of Jerusalem, sent to Hoham, king of Hebron, and unto Piran, king of Jarmuth, and unto Joppa, king of Lachish, and unto Deborah, king of Elglon, saying, come up unto me, and help me, that we may smite Gibeon, for I have made peace with Joshua and the children of Israel. And so at this time, y'all, I'm sorry about the names, y'all. When it comes to these names, I got to get better, y'all. You know, but I know I'll be butchering them. I maybe need to listen to them on the internet to see how they pronounce, because once I hear something how it's pronounced, once I get it, so I know I'm butchering them. But at this time, Adoni-Zedek, he grabbed everybody that was in the rest of the Canaanite land, and he basically was saying, come on, y'all, let's go against Gibeon, because if we don't go against Gibeon, we all gonna wind up getting crushed by the children of Israel. Like, but they made peace with them, and so let's go smite this land. 5. Therefore, the 5 kings of the Amorites, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Elglon, gathered themselves together and went up, they and all their hosts, and encamped before Gibeon, and made war against it. And the men of Gibeon sent to Joshua to the camp to Gilgal, saying, Slack not thy hand from thy servants. Come up to us quickly, and save us, and help us. For all the kings of the Amorites that dwell in the mountains are gathered together against us. So Joshua ascended from Gilgal, he and all the people of war, with him, and all the mighty men of valor. And so they basically sent messengers to Joshua and Israel, like, look, y'all, we y'all service now. So us being y'all service, y'all got to protect us. He's saying, look, all the rest of the Amorite kings, like, they finna destroy us. There's 5 kings and all their armies finna, like, totally destroy us. Y'all got to come up here. So let's read. And the Lord said unto Joshua, Fear them not, for I have delivered them into thy hand. There shall not a man of them stand before them. Joshua therefore came unto them suddenly and went from Gilgal all night. And so this was the Lord telling Joshua, like, go ahead, go up. You know what I'm saying? Don't fear nothing. Like, I'm going to take care of everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be with y'all. Like, just like I've been with y'all this whole time. You ain't got to worry about nothing. But let's read 10 and 11. And let's see how the Lord went before him and what he did. 10. And the Lord discomfited them before Israel, and slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them along the way that go up to Beth Horon, and smote them out to Azekah, and to Makkedah. And it came to pass, as they fled from before Israel, and were in the going down to Beth Horon, that the Lord cast down great stones from heaven upon them to Azekah, and they died. They which were more which died from the hailstones than they whom the children of Israel slew with the sword. And so you see the Lord was with them. So the Lord rained down great hailstones from heaven. And it say it was more who died from hailstones than the whole army of Israel killed at all. So these 5 armies, the Lord went before them, and the Lord was just killing them. Giant boulders dropping down out of the sky. However big it is, I don't know, but it got to be big enough to where they was killing men when they was dropping. So just literally raining hailstones from heaven. And let's get a second witness, because this ain't the only time the Lord did this. We're going to go somewhere else and read, in Revelations, where at the end of the book, where he going to use this same tactic to kill a whole lot of people. Let's go to Revelation 16. And we're going to read verse 1, and we're going to skip. And we're going to see the Lord use this same exact tactic on his second coming, when he make a war on earth. Revelation 16 and 1. And we're going to skip. I just want to pick up in 16 and 1 and show y'all the pretense of where we at. 16 and 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, Go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. Y'all see this? This the angel saying, look, go pour out your vials of the wrath of God. He going to open up 7 vials, and every time 7 vials open, is something else going to happen to this earth, to where it's going to literally be destroying the earth, But let's drop down to 17, because I want y'all to see these hailstones. We're going to read 17 through 21. And the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake, and so great. And so this, this at the end time. This is the 7th vial. We picking it up, and he's saying when it's done, like, it's gonna be a great earthquake. It's gonna be an earthquake unlike the world ever had. And it's gonna be thunders, and it's gonna be lightnings, and it's gonna be a whole lot of commotion going on. But let's keep going. 19, because this earthquake gonna be going all across the world. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nation fell. And great Babylon came in remembrance before God, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every mountain fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, for the plague there was exceedingly great. So we see the same tactic, y'all. He's saying, look, like when that last vow get poured out, he said Babylon, there's gonna be rent the sea, ripped in three. The great city was divided into three parts. He said, look, he said the mountains fled away. He said there's gonna be so much commotion, so the world gonna be literally being turned upside down. And he said there fell upon men great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. Let's see if we can get the weight of a talent, y'all. Let's see if I can go to Google real quick. Weight of a talent, y'all. Say Google say 75 to 100 pounds. Just think about that, y'all. 75 to 100 pound hailstones. They say if you drop a penny off the Empire State Building, it could kill somebody by going straight through their skull. Just think about a rock 75 to 100 pounds coming from the sky. The force and the velocity of coming. It's literally going to squashing people. Like, literally. Like, and it said men blaspheme because of the plague of hell, for the plague therefore was exceedingly great. So literally, 75 to 100 pound rocks falling from heaven, y'all. Whatever they land on, literally, it's gonna be like when you step on a bug and you squash a bug, or when you hit an ant. That's how it's gonna be when them hailstones fall from heaven. Whoa, that's scary, y'all. I don't know. You gotta fear this God. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get in this book. You gotta read and understand exactly what you read. All right, let's go somewhere else, y'all. Let's go to Judges 4. And when we read Judges 4, we're going to see how, different ways the Lord go to war. You know what I'm saying? The Lord always just tell the children of Israel, I'm going to go before you. And I'm going to take care of everything. You ain't going to have to do much, So let's read it. Let's go to Judges 4. And we're going to read 1 through 7. And we're going to see how, where all they had to do was come through afterwards, and the job was pretty much done because the Lord done went before them all the armies of Israel. That's how the armies of Israel could defeat these great big armies and all these hosted nations when they get, 5 nations against one, because the Lord was going before them, y'all. It wasn't that they was out there, each person. Well, they was out there because the Lord was with them, so I can't even say that. But the Lord was going before them, clearing out the way. So Judges 4, verses 1 through 7. And we picking it up in Judges, y'all. We picking it up, and it's the same thing with Israel. Like, that always started since the minute, Joshua died. They mess up, they get sent to captivity, the Lord comes save them. The same thing now, y'all. And it's been the same since the beginning with Israel as a nation. 4 and 1. And we're going to read 1 through 7, and we're going to skip down through 13 through 16. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord, when Ehud was dead. And the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harsha of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 treads of iron. And in 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. And see, this is what the children of Israel was doing. They had messed up, and then they had cried to the Lord, for the Lord to come save them. But why not just quit messing up in the beginning? But let's keep going. 4. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at the time. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel and Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. And we see right here, Deborah, at this time she was judging Israel. And a lot of people they skip right over that, And they are like women, they had no power in the nation of Israel. But you see right here, Deborah was judging all of Israel. Well, let's keep going. 6. And she sent and called Barak, the son of Abinaham, out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, Have not the Lord God of Israel commanded, saying, Go and draw toward Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali, and of the children of Zebulun. And I will draw unto thee to the river of Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into thy hand. And so this Deborah telling Barak, like, look, the Lord said, go get 10,000 men out of the tribe of Naphtali and in the tribe of Zebulun, and look, I want y'all to go to war because I'm gonna go before y'all, and it ain't nothing you gonna have to worry about. And we're gonna skip over the part, but Barak was kind of scared. Barak was, you can read on your own. Barak was like, yeah, the only way I'm going, if you go with me. And she said, that's fine, I'm gonna go with you, but the Lord ain't gonna give you this honor that you would have got if you would just trusted my word. But let's get down to 13. And let's pick it up and see how the Lord went before him. 13. And Sisera gathered together all his chariots, even 900 chariots of iron, and all the people that were with him, from Harosheth of the Gentiles unto the river of Kishon. And see, this was these nations gonna do in the end time. They gonna think they got all their military power over there. They got all they chariots of iron. Now is all, you know, all they ships and they missiles and they helicopters and they B-1 fighters and, you know, naval ships with like the U.S. Lincoln with all these planes on them and everything else. And they really think all that's gonna mean something when they go to war with God, but it's not. But let's keep reading. And Deborah said unto Barak, Up, for this is the day in which the Lord hath delivered Sisera into thy hand. Is not the Lord gone out before thee? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor, and 10,000 men after him. You see what Deborah saying, like, get up. Like, you know what I'm saying? What you worried about them 900 chariots for? Like, that don't mean nothing. Like, get up and go fight. Like, didn't the Lord go out before you? Don't be fooled about what you see versus what you don't see. If the Lord say he going out before you, the Lord going out before you. Well, let's keep going. And the Lord discomfited Sisera and all his chariots and all his hosts with the edge of the sword before Barak. So that Sisera lighted down off his chariot and fled away on his feet. He said, look, the Lord went before him. Or he said, the Lord discomfited Sisera and all his chariots and all his hosts. So the Lord literally, you know, was slaying them with the sword. And they said it got so bad that Sisera, when he seen all these men and all these people and all these armies and all these iron chariots, like all these people getting killed, he jumped up off his foot, you know, and started running. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because he was scared. But let's keep going. But Barak pursued after the chariots and after the hosts into Harosheth of the Gentiles. And all the hosts of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. Again. And you can keep reading on your own, and you can see the end of the battle and everything, and what happened to Sisera, and how he actually got killed by a woman and everything else. You can keep going and read that on your own. But I just wanted to show y'all right here that the Lord went before them. They didn't have to do nothing, really, but just go in afterwards, because the Lord went before them and discomforted the armies. Like, the Lord will fight for you. Let's get a second witness and show you a second witness to where the Lord will go before you and do everything, and all you got to do is come through, collect the spoils, and do a little bit of something else, and it's going to be the same thing in the end when the Lord appear with all his saints and he go to war. But the saints ain't going to have to do much, because the Lord going to do all the heavy lifting and everything else. Let's go to 2 Samuel 5, y'all. When we picking it up at 2 Samuel 5, this is just the second witness, you know. And this is we picking it up, you know, in a time, you know, when David was warned, you know, and he was warned against the Philistines. And we're going to see the Lord do the exact same thing for David that he did, you know, for Deborah and Barak and Judges. So 2:17. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to seek David, and David heard of it and went down to the hold. The Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. So when the Philistines heard that David was the king, they said, oh man, we got to go to war against David now. You know what I'm saying? Because before this, David was already going through, killing tens and tens of thousands. Like, the Israelites was making songs and everything else. And so when they know that he was finally king, they was like, all right, we got to go make a last stance. We got to go try to fight David. But let's keep reading. And because David always did the smart thing when it was time to go to war. He always consulted with the Lord. 19. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go up to the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into my hand? And the Lord said unto David, go up, for I will doubtless deliver the Philistines into thy hand. And see, we said this, and we got to take this in context, y'all. We got to always consult the Lord before we do anything. David was a man after the Lord's own heart. Like, you know what I'm saying? He always consulted, not always, most of the times you can find there, he always consulted the Lord before he did anything, and that saved him out of a lot of trouble, y'all. Like, but the Lord said, yeah, go up. I'm going to deliver them into your hand. 20. And David came to Baal Perazim, and David smote them there, and said, the Lord has broken forth upon my enemies before me, as the breaches of water. Therefore he called the name of the place Baal Perazim. So we see right here, like when David went up, they was already, David, he did a little killing, but he said, the Lord have broken forth upon my enemies before me. So the Lord already came through and did all the heavy lifting. And so when David came through, most of the army was already destroyed. But that's one witness. We're going to see a second witness already in this next verse. 21. And there they left their images, and David and his men burned them. And then the Philistines came up yet again and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And so again, David went through, they left all their idols and their images, and David did the right thing. He burned them and destroyed them, but the Philistines came back again. And then let's see what David do again, because again, David going to the Lord first. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, thou shalt not go up, but fetch a compass behind them, and come upon them over against the mulberry trees. So the Lord said, I don't want you to go up that way. He said, I got an alternate route for you, And he said, I want you to go this other way. 24. And let it be, when thou hearest the sound of a going in the tops of the mulberry trees, that thou shalt bestir thyself. For then shall the Lord go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines. And so he said, look, when you hear something going across these mulberry trees, then you're going to know that the Lord is going before you, and I'm going to smite the host of the Philistines. And let's read 25. And David did so, as the Lord had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until thou come to Gaza. So we see again, it was a whole army of Philistines in between two different towns, and the Lord went before them and destroyed them. And then so when David came through, all David was doing with his army was killing the rest of them, y'all. So the Lord literally was going before them and killing most of these armies. So I don't understand how the children of Israel didn't fear the Lord, because as many nations he destroyed before them, and as many times as he went before them, and they seen the hailstones and everything else. But let's go somewhere else, y'all. Let's go to Joel 3. And we going to Joel 3 to get the battleground, y'all, for this battle when the Lord come back. And Joel tell you, and we just going to read Joel 3. We just going to read 1 through 2, and because the Lord going to tell you where this great battle going to happen at when he come back at his second coming. So let's read it. Joel 3, verses 1 through 2. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people, and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land. The Lord saying, look, in those days did I bring the tribes back, when I gathered Jerusalem, and when I gathered Judah. He said, guess what? I'm going to bring all the nations down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Y'all think it's by coincidence that all these nations is going over there, you know what I'm saying, finding themselves in wars in the Middle East? No, that is the Lord drawing all these nations over there. And about time we get to the time of his coming, everybody going to have some type of beef or something going over in there when they get sucked into that Middle East and everything else, into that valley of Jehoshaphat, because the Lord say, like, all these nations going to be there, and they're going to be thinking they coming to war against each other, and they're going to be thinking it's east against the west and everything else. But that ain't going to be the case. It's going to be the Lord hardening their hearts against each other to get them down there. Yeah, they're going to be fighting against each other and doing all that. But once the Lord get them all locked into a certain place, then that's when he's going to crack that sky. And then that's where he going to deal with all of them when they all in one place in the valley of Jehoshaphat. But let's go to this valley of Jehoshaphat. Let's show y'all what happened in this valley of Jehoshaphat and why it's called that. Because Jehoshaphat was a king Israel, and he was a righteous king, but he had war with a couple different nations down in that valley. So let's look at it. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 20. And we're going to see what happened in the valley of Jehoshaphat. And that's why one thing about this Bible that I love, y'all. If you want to know what's going to happen, all you got to do is go into the Bible and see what did happen already. Like I said, y'all all go together. It'd be like putting puzzles together. You know what I'm saying? This piece go with this piece, and this piece go with this piece. And 2 Chronicles 20, we're going to read verses 1 through 5. And we're going to do a little skipping. We got a couple of places to go in this 2 Chronicles, because I want y'all to see, you know, I want to set up the stage right so y'all can see exactly what's going on. And we're going to see how the Lord going to deal with these nations, you know, and how he going to deal with these nations different than he deal with the other nations. We're not seeing him use hailstones. We're not seeing him go before them and kill them and everything else. And we're going to see what tactic he used now, what tactic he used in this valley of Jehoshaphat to deal with them. Well, that's 20, 1 through 5. And it came to pass after this also that the children of Moab and the children of Ammon, and with them other besides the Ammonites, came against Jehoshaphat to battle. You see this, y'all? So we see in a couple of nations, y'all. We see in a couple of nations going against the southern kingdom of Judah, you know, one nation to battle. Well, let's keep going. Then there came some that told Jehoshaphat, saying, there coming a great multitude against thee from beyond the sea on the side of Syria. And behold, they be in Hazaron Tamar, which is in Jedi. And Jehoshaphat feared, and set himself to seek the Lord, and proclaimed a fast throughout all Judah. And so Jehoshaphat was scared. You know what I'm saying? When he seen all these nations, you know, coming against him, and he did the right thing. You know, he called a fast. And he started praying to God. You know what I'm saying? That's what we should do. We should seek the Lord anytime we're in trouble, anytime we unsure or sure about anything, you know. And we want our prayers to get heard faster, you know. We fast, y'all. We afflict our souls to let the Lord know we serious about what we prayed about, you know. Like, and this is what Jehoshaphat did. But let's keep going. And Judah gathered themselves together to ask help of the Lord. Even out of all the cities of Judah, they came to seek the Lord. And Jehoshaphat stood in the congregation of Judah in Jerusalem in the house of the Lord before the new court. And so everybody came out of all their cities, and we ain't going to read it, you know, to where, you know, where basically Jehoshaphat, you know, telling everybody that they're going to fast and everything else. We're going to skip down. You can read that on your own, like. And, you know, Jehoshaphat praying to God, you know, everybody that came out of all the cities because they were scared. Let's drop down So 13. If you ain't never read that before, I advise you to read all that to fill in the context of what I'm saying. 13. And all of Judah stood before the Lord with their little ones, their wives, and their children. Then upon Jaziel, the son of Zechariah, the son of Benaiah, the son of Jaleel, the son of Mattaniah, a Levite of the sons of Asaph, came the Spirit of the Lord in the midst of the congregation. And he said, Hearken, ye, all Judah, and you inhabitants of Jerusalem, and thou King Jehoshaphat. Thus saith the Lord unto you, Be not afraid, nor dismayed, by reason of this great multitude, for the battle was not yours, but God's. I got to pause right there. And so we got to pay attention to that, y'all. We got to make sure that we understand that in fully, because a lot of times we try to fight things like we got the power to change it. At the end of the day, only power you got is the power God gave you. You know, we got to understand, we got to seek him in everything. We got to let him fight our battles. And vengeance don't belong to us, it belongs to him. But let's continue to read, and let's see what he told them, you know. 16. Tomorrow, go ye down against them. Behold, they come up by the cliff of Ziz, and you shall find them at the end of the brook, before the wilderness of Jeruel. Ye shall not need to fight in this battle. Set yourselves, stand ye still, and see the salvation of the Lord with you. O Judah and Jerusalem, fear not, nor be dismayed. Tomorrow go out against them, for the Lord will be with you. So the Lord telling them right here, like, look, you ain't going to even have to fight in this battle. So don't be scared. Like, you know what I'm saying? He said, look, go down there, and this is why they called that valley the Valley of Jehoshaphat. He said, you go down there by the brook and just stand still. You know, he's saying, look, I got directions for y'all. All I want y'all to do is sing and pray, and y'all going to see how the Lord going to take care of this thing. But let's drop down to 20, and we're going to read 20 through 24. And they rose early in the morning and went forth into the wilderness of Tekoa. And as they went forth, Jehoshaphat stood and said, Hear me, O Judah, and ye inhabitants of Jerusalem. Believe in the Lord your God, so shall you be established. Believe his prophets, so shall you prosper. Again, what is he saying? He's saying, believe in the law and the testimony. That's all he's saying. You know, in so many words. He said, you know, believe in the Lord, believe in Jesus, you know, and believe in his prophets. That's how you gonna get established. The same thing now, y'all. Believe in this old book, man, and this is how you gonna get through it. But let's keep going. And when he consulted with the people, he appointed singers unto the Lord, and that should praise the beauty of holiness, as they went out before the army, and to say, Praise the Lord, for his mercy endureth forever. And when they began to sing and to praise, the Lord set ambushes against the children of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir, which were come against Judah, and that were smitten. And so, again, we see three nations, all against this one nation. And the Lord set ambushes. But let's read and see what ambushes he set. 23. For the children of Ammon and Moab stood up against the inhabitants of Mount Seir, utterly to slay and destroy them. And when they had made an end of the inhabitants of Seir, everyone helped to destroy another. So what the Lord do? The Lord turned them on each other. The Lord made all these armies that was gathered to fight against Judah start killing each other. And the first two, Ammon and Moab, they start killing Mount Seir. And once they started killing the Edomites, and once they was done with killing the Edomites, they started their knives, they swords on each other and started killing each other. 24. And when Judah came toward the watchtower in the wilderness, they looked into the multitude, and behold, there were dead bodies falling to the earth, and none escaped. And y'all can keep reading on your own, and you can see, like, it wasn't nothing but dead bodies, and all the children of Israel did was go through all the armies and collect the spoils. But look how powerful this is. The Lord turned all these armies on each other, and they literally was slaying each other, but they was coming against the nation of Israel to slay them, and the Lord turned their knives on each other. And I mean, not their knives, they swords on each other. And this is not the only time the Lord did this. Let's get a second witness to this. Let's go to Judges 7. Because the Lord show you things over and over and over, you know. And it's up to us to see it and to believe it. Like he proved everything with 2 or 3 witnesses, like he told you. Like he ain't gonna just do something one time. If you can only find it one time, then that means you got to keep searching, or what you probably thinking it is ain't that. You know, everything is proved with 2 or 3 witnesses. And so we're going to read Judges 7. We're going to read 1 through 9. And we picking it up with Judges 7, we picking it up with Gideon. And you know, we're going to see the same exact thing, you know, happen with Gideon. And when we picking it up and 1 through 7, you know, Judges 1 through 9, we picking it up when the Lord telling Gideon, you know how many people he want to do this thing with and everything else. He giving Gideon the setup to how this war finna go. Then Jerubbaal, who was Gideon, and all the people that were with him, rose up early and pitched beside the well of Harod, so that the most of the Midianites were on the north side of them by the hill of Moreh in the valley. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, my own hand now has saved me. So the Lord was saying, look, it's too many Israelites with y'all. He said, if I go to war with y'all and with all these Midianites, then y'all gonna think y'all saved. That y'all gonna think y'all own force did this, and it was not me that did this. So the Lord finna go through a selection process. So he said, look, I gotta dwindle this thing down so y'all understand that when this small amount that I send against this great amount, defeat this great amount, y'all gonna know by my hands it was done. Three. Now therefore, go to, proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. And there returned to the people 20 and 2,000, and there remained 10,000. So the Lord said, look, whoever don't want to go to war, whoever's scared, I ain't making y'all go to the war. Just go ahead, leave now, and everything else. And so 22,000 men left, and it was still a 10,000. But we're going to see what the Lord said about this 10,000. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people are yet too many. Bring them down into the water, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that whom I say unto thee, this shall go with thee. The same shall go with thee. And whosoever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go with thee. The Lord said, look, y'all, it's still too many men. He said, look, bring them down to the water, and I'm going to go through a selection process, and I'm going to give you 2 different scenarios. And one of the scenarios, the men going to go with you, and the other scenario, you're going to send the rest back. So let's keep going. 5. So he brought down the people into the water, and the Lord said unto Gideon, everyone that lappeth of the water with his tongue, as a dog lappeth, him shall thou set by himself. Likewise, everyone that boweth down upon his knees to his drink. He said, look, I want everybody to drink for this water. And we're going to separate the two. Some that's going to be bowed down on their knees to drink with their hands. And he said, I want you to separate the two. 6. And the number of them that lapped, putting their hands to their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water. And the Lord said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into their hand, and let all the other people go, every man into his place. And he said, look, the 300 that put their hands, and like this with the water and start drinking the water, that's who I want you to keep. He said, you can send the rest of the men, the rest of the, 9,000 or something men back. He said, because with these 300 men, this is all I'm going to need to take care of these Mennonites. 8. So the people took victuals in their hand and their trumpets, and he sent all the rest of Israel, every man into his tent, and retained those 300 men. And the host of Midian was beneath him in the valley. And it came to pass the same night that the Lord said unto him, Arise, get thee down into the host, for I have delivered it into thy hand. And said, well, we got to understand, y'all. When you read this, he said, with those 300, he said, look, I done delivered it. I done set it up. All you got to do is go through, like, and do the light work. When the Lord says he's going to deliver it, that means he's doing all the heavy hauling and all the work. All you got to do is go through. Well, let's skip down, y'all. Let's skip down to verse 19. And if you ain't never read this, again, I advise you to read the whole thing. You know what I'm saying, to get more details of what's happening. I'm just keying on to show you, you know, how the Lord turned all their swords on each other, just like he did in the valley of Jehoshaphat. 19. Up at 19, I guess I need to explain that. Gideon split up the 300 into 3 different bands, and they all, meaning like 100 going to go this way, 100 going to go this way, and 100 going to be with him. And so when they was approaching all these Midianites right now, we picking it up, it was 100 men with him. 19. So Gideon and 100 men that were with him came unto the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch, and they had but newly set the watch, and they blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. And the 3 companies blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers and held the lamps in their left hands and the trumpets in their right hands to blow withal. And they cried, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. And they stood, every man in his place, round about the camp. And all the host ran and cried and fled. And the 300 blew the trumpets, and the Lord set every man's sword against his fellow, even throughout all the hosts. And the host fled to Beth-Shittaiah and Zereth, and to the border of Abel, Maholah, and Tabith. Again, y'all, we see they start blowing the trumpet and everything else. And the minute all 3 of these bands start blowing the trumpet, guess what happened? The host of the Midianites start killing each other, y'all. Every man swore against his fellow. So the Lord confounded them into where they didn't know who their enemy was. And so they killing literally the people who on the same side as them. But let's okay, that's all I wanted to read right there. And again, and you can read the rest on your own time and everything else. And I got one more place to go, y'all. We're gonna look at this last final battle. Because we seen the second coming. But we're going to see this final battle in Ezekiel 38. The battle of Gog and Magog. And we're going to see the Lord use all these same tactics all in one time in the battle of Gog and Magog. So Ezekiel 38. And we're gonna start at verses 1 through 6, because so y'all can see, you know, the time frame and what's going on, you know. Ezekiel 38, and a lot of people get Ezekiel 38 wrong, you know, and that's the problem with a lot of these evangelists, preachers, or whatever you want to call them, when they think Ezekiel 38 is supposed to happen at the second coming. But you got to understand the book. And you got to know that this ain't the second coming. This is right before the 8th day. This is the last battle. This is when Satan gets loose from his 1,000-year reign. But let's keep going. 38 and 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, and the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And you got to know who these nations is, y'all. That's how, like, when I read this book, that I know that Russia ain't going nowhere. They're going to be here in the last days, because that's Magog, you know. Like, so we know that they ain't going nowhere. We know that they ain't going to get destroyed, like, because they going to still be in the book. But let's keep going. And say, Thus said the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy army, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And so the Lord said, look, I'm going to draw y'all the same way I'm going to draw everybody to the valley of Jehoshaphat. When it's time to deal with you, Russia, Gog and Magog, I'm going to deal with y'all. But let's see who with them. Because right here is the same people that have been with them and the same people right now. So when you watching these world newses and everything else, you can see the alliances. You can see it in the Bible. 5, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them. All of them with shield and helmet. This is how we know Iran ain't going nowhere, y'all. Because Iran is Persia. Ethiopia and Libya with them. And this is why you see Russia all down there in Africa, y'all. Russia got the strongest ties in Africa probably right now out of all the Western countries and everything else. And you see them down there, Burkina Faso, and you see them down there, you know, in the other countries down in Africa and everything else, y'all, because the alliances is forming, y'all, and this is what we gotta understand. So when you watching this stuff, it makes sense, and and you gotta pay attention. So we know Iran ain't going nowhere because we can read right here, Persia gonna be in there. So we gotta understand, and we know Persia and Russia has been in cahoots since the beginning of the time. You know, and they still locked in and together. But now we also see where them African nations come into cahoots with Russia. But let's keep going. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togomer of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with them. So everybody that's over there, y'all. These all them countries that's right now, they gonna still be over there. All the countries that's with Russia, they gonna continue to be with Russia. Let's drop down to 8 so you can know when this time gonna be. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is bought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people, against the mountains of Israel, which has been always waste. But it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Y'all, this ain't talking about right now. This ain't talking about that 1948 Balfour Declaration. This is talking about when the Lord bring them back in the last of the last days, y'all, because we in the last days, but this ain't the last of them. You know what I'm saying? He's talking about that last day. He said when they going to dwell safely. Right now, is Israel over there dwelling safely? No, they not. They in war, non-stop wars with somebody different all the time. And so he's saying, look, when I bring them back and I establish them in my holy mountain. But let's keep going. 9, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land. Thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thus said the Lord God, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt thought an evil thing. And thou shalt say, I will go over to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates. Is any of that going on in Israel right now? No. You can't even get into Israel. You know, I mean, if you over there right now, they literally got it divided to where the Palestinians can't even cross over into Israel. You know what I'm saying? So this is what we know. This is talking about the millennial period when they dwell safely, without walls, without bars, and the gates, you know, always going to be open because there's going to be people constantly bringing Israelites back to the land from all these different countries. And so we know when this time is. This is it during the millennial kingdom. And when Satan get out, he going to be able to trick all these nations, and he going to be able to trick these nations to think that they can go up into Israel and take over the land. But let's read it. 12. To take a spoil and to take prey, to turn thy hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. He said, look, this is going to be that time when I bring the people back and they dwell in safety. And, you know, all the people from all the nations. But let's drop down to 16, y'all. 16, y'all. And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O God, before thy eyes. And this is one thing we got to understand. The Lord constantly draw these people in. The Lord said, I'm going to bring y'all down here. You know what I'm saying? The Lord said, I'm going to draw y'all down here so I can be sanctified in front of all these nations. He said, this is going to be the final battle. Before the 8th day come, I still got a little purging to do. I'm going to purge the land when I come back, but I'm going to let Satan out so he can trick y'all into thinking y'all can do something. But then I'm going to be sanctified in front of all these people that was born, in the millennium period, that didn't see my anger and didn't see my wrath and didn't see the way I did all this for them. But let's keep going. 17. Thus saith the Lord God, art thou he of whom I have spoken in the old time by my servants, the prophet of Israel, which prophesied those days, many years that I will bring thee against them? And it shall come to pass at the same time, when Gog shall come against the land of Israel, said the Lord God, that my fury shall come up in my face. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel. So again, y'all, the Lord said, this been prophesied since the beginning of time. I don't know when this book of Ezekiel was written. This book of Ezekiel probably was written about a good 3,000 plus years ago, y'all. And we still reading it now. And it still got some time to come. It's still, we at least know the millennial kingdom ain't here. So we still got like 1,000 years on top of this. But he's saying that word is still going to stand still. What I wrote, what I had written back then, it's going to not be over with until it's over with, until it actually happened. But it's going to happen. But let's keep going. So the fishes of the sea, and the fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the field, and all creepy things that creep upon the earth, and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at the presses, and the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountain, said the Lord God. Every man's sword shall be against his brother. Again, y'all. Didn't we see this? Didn't we just read this? That the Lord gonna do the same exact thing, that he did in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and when he made, the same thing he did with the Mennonites, where he made them use their sword against each other. The same thing gonna happen in the final battle on earth. But let's keep going. What else gonna happen? And I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood. And I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon many people that are with him, and an overflowing rain and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. Again, y'all, we're going to see them great hailstones. And we read to where he said fire going to be, in Revelations. I didn't break it down, you know what I'm saying? And brimstone is the same thing he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah with. He said in this final battle, everything that you've seen in this Bible that he done did to destroy different nations, he gonna do it all at one time for Gog and Magog. He said, I'm gonna hit Gog and Magog with everything that I did to all these nations, but they gonna get a little bit of everything sprinkled in this final battle. And let's keep going. 23. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am the Lord. And why the Lord got to do this? Because everybody going to see this, because there's going to be people born in the millennium kingdom. And when they born in the millennium kingdom, all they going to see is peace, when the Lord reigning. And so he's saying, look, I'm going to let them know, how I got this peace, and I'm going to let them see it in action, because I still got to destroy a couple more nations from what they did in the beginning, And so to sum it all up, y'all, this is why you got to fear the Lord, because the Lord is a man of war, and the Lord would kill the wicked. He gonna slay the wicked, eventually. They gonna get theirs. And this is why you got to know what's coming, y'all. You got to understand that when the Lord come back, it ain't just going to be peace and rainbows and happiness and everything else. No, he coming back with a vengeance, and he coming back with a vengeance on this earth. And if more people knew the way he was coming back, they might actually change their actions. And so that's all I got for today. Peace, Salvation Show. I'll see y'all soon.